It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and welcome to June 7th, 1996. We got 3 movies to look at today, so let's just go ahead and jump right on into it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Michael Bay's follow-up to Bad Boys, Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, and Ed Harris in The Rock.
Alcatraz. A battery of VX gas rockets is deployed in the San Francisco Bay Area.
On June 7th,
I have a unique knowledge of this prison. I was formerly a guest here.
get ready. I'm just a biochemist.
That's where you're coming with us.
To rock.
Fire.
From Don Simpson and Jody Bruckheimer, the producers of Top Gun and Crimson Tide. Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris. The Rock, directed by Michael Bay, rated R.
Back when we can actually tolerate Michael Bay in his movies. This was only his second feature film he had directed after Bad Boys came out, became the hit that it was, launched the careers of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. And here you have him working with more reasonably known actors, Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris. You also have Michael Biehn in here, as well as William Forsythe. Just a fun action movie, and it doesn't do what the bad Michael Bay movies usually do. It doesn't step into the same kind of bad territory that stuff like the Transformers movie does. This is Michael Bay simply doing what makes a good, fun Michael Bay action movie work. I mean, it's a solid story all around, a great cast that includes Connery, Nicolas Cage, and Ed Harris, and the action sequences are just a ton of fun to watch. The movie is just visually pleasing to look at. It's just a ton of fun on so many levels. It's a film that is a perfect definition of a summer escapism entertainment film. Like, it's a film you go to the movie theater, you get a big tub of popcorn, or a bag in this case, as I have right here, but you get a bag of popcorn, you get a drink, and you just sit there and you just let the movie play, and you just have fun with it. It's a movie that's just so amazing to watch. Visually, it's incredible to watch. The action's very good. The dialogue is very solid. The acting is very good. I mean, this movie has a Criterion Collection release. I mean, you don't usually put a movie by Michael Bay in a Criterion Collection release. Well, then again, I say that, but then Armageddon, his next movie, is in a Criterion Collection release. But that movie is not nowhere near as good as The Rock is. But we will eventually get to that one eventually. But yeah, this movie has a Criterion Collection release. The Criterion Collection does not usually, like I said, does not usually go for bad movies, except for a couple of exceptions, but that's not the point. Bottom line here, if you haven't seen The Rock already, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. It's the perfect late 90s action movie. It has great dialogue all around, great acting all around. I mean, if you're not even going to watch the movie, go at least watch Ed Harris and the bloopers for this. No, seriously, go online and look for the bloopers for The Rock, with Ed Harris just completely melting down as he's trying to read these lines. It is hilarious and yet terrifying at the same time.
Chief of Staff, Sinclair. Well, you probably don't have any idea what I'm fucking talking about. By your 9th birthday, I was running black ops into China. My men were... Just identify yourself. How old are you? I'm sorry. You Chief of Staff, Sinclair. Well, you obviously don't have any fucking idea what I'm talking about. By your 9th birthday, I was running black ops into China. My men were...
I mean, that's just method acting right there. So, yeah, if you're not going to watch the movie, at least go look for those bloopers, because they are pretty fun to watch. And Ed Harris, like I said, he's hilarious in there, and he's also terrifying in those bloopers as well. He's really good in the movie, too. But, like I said, the point is, The Rock is a pretty fun movie. If you go into this looking for the Michael Bay that we actually do kind of like, it's all over this movie. I highly recommend checking it out. The Rock, fantastic film. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next movie that we have here, and that is Billy Zane in The Phantom.
Just take a look around. Darkness rules the earth.
In a dangerous world.
Governments crumble. Chaos reigns.
In a treacherous time.
There is opportunity in chaos.
Evil is a fact.
We shall succeed where they have failed.
Drax is on a quest for a supernatural power.
They know far too much.
And courage.
Stop them. You're the only one who can.
Is a phantom.
Who was that guy? Somebody I already killed.
is only a myth. Soon they will discover the Phantom is real.
So the Phantom, if you don't know him, he's a character from the classic comic strips of the 1930s. King Features Syndicate is where he came from, and you have Billy Zane playing the title character of the Phantom. Now, when this movie came out, it was definitely a very mixed bag. It was pretty much on the same level as something like The Shadow was, or The Rocketeer, which I really like The Rocketeer. I think The Shadow gets a little bit too much hate towards it. I don't think it was a terrible movie. I think there are parts about it that do work. And honestly, I could say the same thing about The Phantom, because the movie, for the most part, does kind of carry the overall feel of the comics. It takes place in the 1930s. It's supposed to be like a pulp adventure type of film. And I think there is a lot about it to really like about it. I like the casting of Billy Zane as the Phantom. I think that's great casting. I think he does play it very well. I think, to me, the biggest problem with this movie and trying to sell it is that it's hard to sell a guy like that when he's wearing a costume like that that's light purple and all that type of stuff. And I mean, it's not that it looks bad in here, but I could definitely see a lot of people looking at this costume that he has, and it's just like, I don't know if I could take that seriously. Like, The Rocketeer, you could take at least a little bit more seriously. I mean, The Shadow, you could definitely take more seriously. Even Dick Tracy, even when he wears the yellow trench coat, you could take that a little bit more seriously. But, I mean, The Phantom, I don't know. To me, I think that was one of the tougher sells about this character, is that how do you make a guy like that who wears an all-purple suit and looks the way he does, how do you make that look intimidating? And it kind of works, but it doesn't quite at the same time. I think it does work mostly because of I think it works here because of Billy Zane. I think he's perfectly cast in this. I like Treat Williams as the over-the-top villain in this. You got Christy Swanson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, one of her early film roles, and I think the movie overall is a ton of fun. It's not one of the smartest comic book movies ever. It's not even a great comic book movie overall, or a comic strip movie overall, but I think it does deliver enough that if you have a good idea of what the story is, it could definitely work. I think they could have. There are definitely a lot of things that they could have tried to make it a little more appeasing, but mostly with the costume and all. But again, I think overall it does a pretty good job of setting itself up. As the movie that it wants to be. I think it does try a little bit. I think it does try enough to say that it is worth a watch. I think maybe, just maybe, if they had gotten Joel Schumacher to do this movie after he'd done Batman Forever, like they thought they were originally going to do, I think he could have made this work better. But as it is, it's a perfectly serviceable film. Is it a great film? No, but it's not a bad movie either, and it's not even one of the worst comic book movies you could get from a movie like this, but it does work well enough for what it is. I'd say, like, if you go into it as it's kind of reminiscent of The Rock. If you go into it, turn your brain off, just sit in the movie theater with your bag of popcorn and a drink, and just let the movie play out, you definitely get more than you bargained for with it. If you go into it expecting something a little more serious and all that, I think you're going to be really disappointed by it. I think it's fine for what it is. It definitely could have been a whole lot better, at least in my personal opinion. So, that's The Phantom. So let's go ahead and take a look at our last movie, and that is from James Mangold, Heavy.
Holy shit!
I don't know how it got so long.
Victor! Victor! Nobody knows? You didn't tell anybody?
I didn't want anything to change.
And when I say one of his first movies, I'd say his first movie. This is actually the directorial debut for James Mangold, who, of course, would later go on to direct such great films as Logan, Ford vs. Ferrari, Walk the Line, Copland, 310 to Yuma. Just so many great movies to his resume, and this was the film that started it all. And basically, the plot is that you're following this unhappy, overweight cook played by Pruitt Taylor Vince, whose life ends up changing when he meets this college dropout played by Liv Tyler. Who begins working as a waitress in his mother's roadside tavern, and the film kind of goes through the themes of loneliness, false hope, unrequited love, and self-worth. And that's pretty much all I know about this movie. I've never seen it before. I do like James Mangold as a director overall, But it's a film that I don't know too much about. I'm assuming it's got some pretty good reviews to it, and it does here. So I wouldn't deny that the film is really good. And you got Liv Tyler, Deborah Harry, Shelley Winters is in here as well. Some notable names in here, and I wish I had some more to tell you about it. But like I said, I haven't seen the film, so I can't really say if it's good or not. I would think it's probably good. So maybe one day I'll definitely check it out if I could find it somewhere. But that's pretty much all I know about this one. That is heavy. So with that said, that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time, we'll take a look at the weekend of June 14th with Jim Carrey starring in Ben Stiller's The Cable Guy with Matthew Broderick. We also have Moll Flanders, another Liv Tyler movie with Stealing Beauty, and also The Jezebel. So 4 movies to look at next time around, and we'll look at those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.